Welcome to the AICA conference. I'm Jane King in New York, and with me Chuck Jaffe, the host of Money Life with Chuck Jaffe, and also the NAVigator, which is the AICA podcast, which is celebrating its 5-year anniversary.
Yeah, we just got through the 5th anniversary, and I don't know that we expected that to happen this long, but the answer is it keeps getting better. Like I can say as the host that when we started, I would have agreed with my audience, because my audience, when we said we're going to dedicate one piece of Money Life, because we do it both on my show and then standalone separate. And so when we said, we're going to bring closed-end funds to Money Life and make it 1/20th of our interviews at a minimum each week, my audience thought I was nuts.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, closed-end funds? Really, dude? We understand, you need to do some work with people, but come on. And now it's the exact opposite. It's been that way for a while. Now my audience is totally attuned. And that's the interesting thing, because it's the message they're not getting from any place else.
Right.
Whether they get the NAVigator through the NAVigator podcast or they get it through Money Life, there's no place else you can go to discuss closed-end funds. And the number of audience members who have, like, over the 5 years, who I've seen on the fence, because I have this dedicated core of people that write me all the time. And I'm listening to the NAVigator, but I'm not ready to go. And then 2 years later, they're like, I just bought my first closed-end fund. And then they're like, I'm doing tax loss selling and I'm doing a bunch of other things. Those are real people.
Yeah.
And that to me is what I like the best, because once they understand it, they identify.
Yeah. What do you think that pivot point is when they're ready to, they've learned and learned and learned, and then they're ready to finally make an investment?
I think that ultimately what convinces most of these folks to take their first one is the discounts have gotten so big that their impulse buy / it's on sale brain takes over, right? Like, we know because it's the holidays, that we're getting into the holiday season, all the statistics are out about how much people spend on impulse buys and how much impulse buying is. It's a good deal. I would love to tell you that it's more sophisticated than that. And there's some that really is, because when you're talking about individual investors, they have to get to a spot where, yes, it's got to be right for their portfolio.
Comfort level, right? Yeah.
But they've heard about it, they're comfortable with it, and then you go, wait, there's a 12% discount and I can buy this on sale? It makes sense. And then once it actually works for them, then they're like, wait, hold it. This is where I want to be.
I want more at that point. And you bring a real consumer focus to it. Like, you're not like kind of, in Wall Street talk. You're really trying to help the average person learn about closed-end funds.
Well, as a journalist, which is my primary role, I'm most assuredly not a Wall Street guy. It's not, I am not the voice of the street. I am the voice of the consumer. And there's no question that, as I look at things like corporate activism and I'm forming questions, that I have them from the standpoint of a consumer, that I think there's a lot of things going on in closed-end funds that there might be high-level discussions, but somebody in there is an individual investor, and they may be the minnow swimming around with, well, if they're lucky, it's whales. If they're not lucky, it's sharks, right? So that's a big part of it. I want to make sure that they understand what they're getting into and that they're comfortable in the waters they're going to be swimming in if they're going to come into this part of the investment.
Sure. Okay, so 5 years down, do you have a different strategy now that you're 5 years in? You want to change things up, or are you just why mess with success?
That would depend more on what AICA wants. I think that there has been talk about, would we do more? There's demand and would we like to do more? And I'm ready, but that depends on other circumstances, et cetera. I think that for the audience, at least the audience that gets through me, that is not the professional audience, because that's a different thing. I think the individual investors, they definitely at 5 years have gotten to where they're very comfortable, they're ready for that talk, and they feel themselves participating. They're going to look at data from someone like John Cole Scott's site, et cetera, because they want to follow up and they want that out there. As for the industry professionals, the folks who are part of AICA and who are AICA members, I think that they have come to recognize in 5 years that you're going to be asked smart questions, you're going to be able to talk about what's important to you, and you're going to be able to do it at a level where you don't have to always go back and try to explain what a closed-end fund is. So you get to have higher level discussions, and I think that that brings out the best in the folks in this industry.
Where can people find the NAVigator?
Well, the best place to find it would be AICA's website, which is AICalliance.org. It's pretty much right there. There's a nice logo for it. But if you want to find my show, it's on every Friday. It's the first interview of every Friday show. And my show can be found on your favorite podcast app or moneylifeshow.com.
Okay, Chuck, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.